Welcome back, everyone, to Hold My Merlot. It's me, Fran, your favorite childless cat lady.
And it's me, Rami Jackson, your favorite tall, light-skinned black man. All right, much like a latte, I'm caramel and smooth.
And we have Marty in the background, and of course, post-production is done by my pets, Emily, Milo, and Ziggy. As usual, we're going to start off with our wine breaker. Today we are drinking...
OMG.
We're drinking OMG. It is a Tinto from Portugal.
Hey, Portugal is an awesome country. If you haven't been to Lisbon, please go.
Yes, we went last year. Actually,
Yes, we did.
almost right around this time.
Yes, we did for Bonji's birthday.
It was 5 days of bliss. I thumbs up for Portugal and Lisbon. Awesome place, cheap food, great beaches.
Some of the best seafood I've ever had.
And really down-to-earth, nice people. And they speak English, which is good. You don't gotta learn a language, praise the Lord. Okay, so today we're drinking OMG. It's a Tinto from Portugal. It's about $15 or $16. It's 14% alcohol by volume. It reads on the back of the bottle. We're sure you've said or texted OMG more than once when your team scored that winning penalty kick in the dying seconds of the game, when you bought the last available ticket up for your favorite band's show, when you kissed your better half for the first time. This was also the expression we use when trying this wine for the first time. A wine made from a selection of our best grapes, full of color, aromatic intensity, and delicious notes of black fruit and spices, which will certainly leave good memories. Yes, we know OMG. Fantastic marketing. Can tell it was written for an American audience. Sorry I can read it more quickly. My eyes are basically dead. I'm old as dirt, and I need better glasses because this looks like something for bifocals. Could barely read it.
Well, dirt has never looked so sexy.
Well, thank you. So OMG, we're gonna rate it from Portugal. It's a Tinto. Okay, so Rami, what do you think of the color?
The color is sultry and smooth. It's like a panther.
Okay, so I do see a little bit of that oil spill that I don't like seeing, so I'm going to give it a 3. I like it, but I don't love it. It is a nice, deep, dark burgundy, though. It is rich in color, but I know with the wines, when I look at it, if I see a little something at the top that looks kind of like there's oil added to it, it kind of turns me off.
Well, damn. You know, that doesn't bother me. Because when we get into the taste, I really like the taste of this.
What's the smell? What do you think of the smell?
I think it smells like a wine. Like
That's quite a smell it's got, man.
no, it's pungent, but like it's not overpowering. And truth be told, honestly, I think like it's the perfect wine for a night like this. It's Sunday. This wine has me a little sleepy personally. I'm not gonna lie to you. Red wines always put me to sleep.
Oh, good for you.
No, but this is a good nightcap wine. I really would recommend it for that. In terms of just like, I don't know how it's making me feel right now.
Okay, so what do you give the color? You give it a 3?
I give the color a 5. I think this is a good, nice, dark red wine.
Wow. And the smell? What do you give the smell?
I give the smell about a 4.
I'm gonna give it a 4 too. It's deep.
Yeah. What do you give the color though?
I think I gave it a 3.
Oh, okay. 3 on the color?
Yeah, and taste?
Okay. Yeah, I like this one.
It's good. It's rich.
It is. It's very rich. I agree with you on that.
Tastes like it has chocolate in it, no?
I don't know about chocolate, but like, it's definitely, how do I put it? It's sweet, but it's like an adult sweet. You know what I mean? So that sweetness is like...
An adult sweet is a sour.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Ain't that the truth? It's like sweetish, but like there's a bit of sour to it too. It's nice. I really like it. It's a refreshing wine.
What do you think overall rating?
I'm about 4.5. I really like OMG. I think this is a good wine.
Really? 4.5. Okay.
And like also, we don't get into this a lot, but I just like the design of the bottle too. Like it says OMG and just like this big, like colorful red text. It's something captivating about it. You know what I mean? Like I would notice this if I was walking around the store, you know?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of like settling around a 4. So let's say we give OMG a 4 and a recommend.
Yes.
OMG's Tinto from Portugal. We give it a 4. Cheers.
Cheers. There we go. Hey, I love this.
So today's topic is something that is near and dear to my heart. The topic we're going to discuss today is the disrespect of Vice President Kamala Harris by certain news media outlets in the past and now, how she's being treated. The reason I wanted to talk about this subject is Vice President Kamala Harris went on Fox News last week, and she was interviewed by Bret Baier. I mean, I do not really tune into Fox News. A bunch of people basically, some months back, basically said, oh, she's not doing any interviews. She's not doing any interviews. And it was just like this big thing where they were pushing her like, you got to do interviews, got to do interviews.
Meanwhile, Trump canceled on 2 interviews in 1 week. And then skipped out on a rally or something like that.
And he's not doing any more debates with her.
Yes.
So there was this kind of like thing, even the liberal media was talking about, oh, she's not doing interviews, she's not giving interviews, is she scared? They were talking about maybe like she's not good with interviews, she's not, media savvy or whatever, she doesn't know how to talk to the people. So I was actually kind of scared because I was like, oh my God, why isn't she giving any interviews? Even the liberal media is calling her out on it. And then she goes on this media blitz. She basically gave everybody and their goddamn mama and a podcast some time.
Yeah, she's about to go on Joe Rogan and Charlemagne.
Oh, she already went on Charlemagne.
She did?
She already did. Joe Rogan, I think, is the next one because she's trying to reach the demographic of white men. Usually, I think Joe Rogan's...
young white men?
It's young white men, but it's usually... No, it's not just young white men, actually. I think it's white men between... Usually, it's like the ages of 18 to like 47 or something like that, which is a gigantic demographic. Joe Rogan has got that demographic on lock. So she's... so I did hear she was going on there. I didn't know if Joe Rogan was actually going to interview her, or if they made a time slot for her. Did they?
No, it's happening next week.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I can't wait for that. But
I think so.
That's going to be a really good interview for her because, Joe Rogan is a pretty interesting person in the podcast world. I think he was one of the biggest big podcasters.
I think he is the largest. He gets paid millions of dollars a year.
Right, but in the podcast sphere, at first there weren't really that many people making a lot of money doing podcasting, and he's just one of these guys that was just pumping podcasts out. And now he's basically a phenomenon himself. But that's beside the point. People are calling out Vice President Kamala Harris for not doing any interviews. She went on a media blitz, and she's just on a roll right now. She was on Bret Baier's show. And Rami, what did you think about how Bret Baier treated Vice President Kamala Harris?
Baier, so let's get a few things straight, okay? One, Bret Baier has the personality of a brick, all right? Seriously, he's boring as hell, all right? At least Fox News, most Fox News people tend to be pretty animated, even though they're saying bullshit. Bret Baier says bullshit with a straight face, and he's boring as fuck to listen to. Mm-hmm. But then Baier, during the interview, just straight up lied about certain things, misrepresented what VP Harris was saying, and had to basically announce an apology, a few days after the interview, saying, okay, I may have made a mistake in some areas of that interview. Because he started getting called out by everybody for just being straight up dishonest.
Yes, and also just being a straight dick.
Mm-hmm.
He just wouldn't let her talk. I was like, are you going to let her get a word in? It was so bizarre. He wouldn't let her talk.
Yes, and I think that's one example of where Joe Rogan is actually a good interviewer. I don't agree with Joe Rogan on many things in terms of politics. Joe Rogan's anti-vaxxer, for example. But Rogan's a good interviewer because Rogan and also Charlemagne, he's good at this too. They let people just talk.
Yeah.
And they ask good follow-up questions. Shannon Sharp, he lets people talk, but his follow-up questions are terrible. If you watch Club Shay Shay, he doesn't really lock in on a certain subject.
Hey, that sounds very haterific to me. I love Club Shay Shay.
And then other interviews like Brett Baer, he's like Joe Budden, where he does most of the talking. Even if he's interviewing somebody, he's talking like 9 times out of 10.
All right, so I'm gonna play a short clip of Kamala Harris on Brett Baer's show. You could basically, it was a short interview. It's like 25 minutes or so, but you can go on at any point in time, and you could just see how like antagonistic Brett Baer was. How he just kept cutting her off, how he wouldn't let her answer any questions. He was like, he just wouldn't let her talk, and it was just like, what is this? This isn't an interview. An interview is a back and forth. You ask a question, and then you let the person answer the question. And he would just interrupt her and make talking points for the Trump campaign. It was just very strange. So this is a clip of Brett Baer and Kamala. Oh gosh, I wish this thing would really...
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take
during
responsible for what happened
presidency.
in your administration.
Yeah, no
I agree.
surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I
But you have a
think
say
Donald
in
Trump would
this.
say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads.
Okay, so basically what happened
That
is...
question is dumb.
It was a Trump stump. Okay?
Yes.
Apparently, one of the ads that's really resonating with the people of Pennsylvania, and basically the Trump population, his MAGA people, is this ad about how they're going to continue transgender surgeries in prisons. And Vice President Kamala Harris is like, it's the law. Like, why is this even a question? What am I going to do? Not follow the law? I'm going to make it stop, right? And, the transgender issue is one of these issues that the Republican Party is just thoroughly obsessed with.
There is no transgender issue. Transgender people are awesome.
Of course. And the thing is, they keep making it an issue. And one of the things that Kamala said in this interview is like, in the grand scheme of things, like, people are thinking about the kitchen table issues. They're not thinking about transgender people in prisons. It's like, where is the general population, the 300 million people that live here? You think most of them are thinking about what people are doing in prisons?
No, thank you. That's a great point.
It's obnoxious. People are thinking about interest rates.
Their jobs.
They're thinking about putting food on the table for their kids. And she made that point, and I was like, of course, but Brett Baer wants to talk about the most successful campaign for the Trump administration.
Well, you see...
It's obnoxious.
But you see, I think Brett is giving away the gag. The Republican Party doesn't really have policies that help people
No, they don't.
in material ways. So they need to drum up hatred on unimportant issues like, can prisoners transition? And don't get me wrong, if a prisoner wants to transition, they should have the right to do so. I agree. However, does your average American think about that? Is that really a key pressing issue? Even if we wanted to talk about the prison industrial complex, is
right?
the transition...
Which is the real problem.
Yes. The transition surgeries are like a line item of a line item of a line item in like the American prison system. There are so many other things you could tackle if you wanted to just talk about prisoners and their lives and their experiences. But as you can see, the Republican Party doesn't have actual policy positions. They just have talking points, and they have this media ecosystem that is designed to just pump bullshit out into the general populace. And this is what we, as Democrats and liberals and progressives and socialists and what have you, that's what we have to fight against, okay?
Okay, so the next clip I'm going to play is Vice President Kamala Harris, like I said, went on a media blitz. She went on 60 Minutes, which Donald Trump, I believe, has refused to go on.
Yes, he did.
And this is the host, forgive me, I do not know his name, questioning Kamala about her plans once she becomes president. Watch how he interviews her.
Are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
What?
How are you going to get this through Congress?
How's that a response?
Okay, so the question basically was Vice President Kamala Harris has gone out and basically proposed a bunch of plans to help the middle class Americans. She wants to do a $6,000 tax credit for people with children. So I think it would be like $6,000 per child. I want to say $50,000 to start a small business in tax incentives.
$5,000 down if you're gonna get a new house.
No, I think it's $20,000 if you're gonna get a new house, and I think she's also gonna do $20,000. I think for Black men in particular to help them pay down on their debt if they have debt, especially medical debt. And she's talked about various plans of basically giving some money back to the middle class and the working class population. And this guy is just pushing her like, well, how are you gonna do it? Excuse me, Madam Vice President, but like, how are you going to pay for it? And then when she answers the question, he's like, but we're in the real world here. How are you really going to do it?
But you see, like, and this is the example of, like, the higher standard that black women are held to. Donald Trump literally, one, lies about policy, but two, says outrageous things like, I'm going to build a wall that's going to stretch between the entire border of the United States and Mexico.
Which is impossible.
Literally one of the longest borders. And not only the planet, but has so many caverns and valleys and mountains and shit.
And water and
yes,
and people's freaking land is on it. It's almost impossible to even do that project, like, legally.
Yes, like...
actually do it.
No, not even just legally, physically.
Yeah.
You're only an idiot.
Physically is okay, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
We use the new R word. So it's a ridiculous project, and of course Mexico is going to pay for it. Racist as hell. And on that border is also people's property lines. How are you going to pay all these people to build a wall through their property? It would take 3 billion years to actually get that border.
No. And so, like...
But what does he say? But you know what's so funny about every single thing that Donald Trump proposes? Everything he says he's going to do is like, we're going to do it quickly, and it's going to be beautiful. Everything will be done quickly. His whole thing is it will be quickly. As soon as I get there, on day one, it will be done. And it will be quickly, and it will be beautiful. The answers that he gives are so simplistic. And nobody ever really kind of goes like, well, can you give us some deeper, like, perspective? Can you give us an actual plan? Like, how are you going to pay for this? How are you going to do this?
Yes, and so, like... It's just sad because you see VP Kamala Harris get attacked all the time for being the vibes campaign, but she actually has real policy positions.
Yes.
She posts policy documents on her website, or at least policy plans on how she's going to do certain things. The Trump campaign is the vibes campaign. They just say they're just going to...
negative vibes campaign.
No, they're going to just deport all the immigrants. We're going to deport every illegal immigrant in the country. So you're going to destroy our agricultural industry. You're going to destroy nursing. You're going to destroy the hotel industry. You're going to break up families and entire communities. It's going to cost billions of dollars. I've actually done research on this. Mm-hmm. If they want to deport every illegal immigrant in like the course of a decade, it would cost $85 billion a year. You would literally be spending about $1 trillion to deport thousands of people. That's mind-boggling. But no one questions Trump because he's a white man in a suit. So he can just say anything, and we're supposed to take it as if it's a good idea or it's something that we just shouldn't debate. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, a black woman,
has great ideas
and actually has real policy positions, an actual party that isn't a cult. And everyone just wants to question her, how are you going to pay for it? And then when she explains how she's going to pay for it,
it's like, wait, we're living in the real world. How are you actually going to do it?
No, but like, and like, I hate that. I hate that response because it shows the lack of imagination that so many Americans have, where it's like, well, this is the real world. Fam, the real world can be changed.
Right.
That's why I went into politics, so I can change the real world. Like that. Like honestly, at its core, that response is stupid.
So the next clip I'm gonna play is, and I'm playing several clips because I really want to just prove a point. I feel like when Obama was running, because I watched pretty much his entire campaign, all his interviews. I was working at a news station, so we watched all his video come in from pretty much like this around. I think I started working there around the summer of 2009. From the summer of 2009 until he was not 2000. Was it 2008? Because he won in 2000. When did Obama win?
2008.
2008. Okay, so it would be summer of 2008. I pretty much watched. Well, anyway, I watched an inordinate amount of videos with Obama on different interviews, on different television shows, and the media was just in love with President Obama. Okay, and it was a walk in the park for most of these interviews that he got. Everybody was so happy. Whenever they would ask him a question, like one of the things that Obama said that sticks out in my head right now is like he kept saying things like, we're going to give everyone the same health care benefits as all the senators and all of the House of Reps. He was going to bring everyone into that same healthcare system because I don't know if you know this, they have a fantastic healthcare.
They have the best healthcare in the country.
Right? So he promised that, and he kept saying it over and over again. It was one of the things that he promised to do once he became president. And it's like, nobody was like, well, how are you going to do that? Right? Nobody questioned how he was going to get the Affordable Care Act into place, which is something he promised and did deliver on. Okay. Nobody asked him how he was going to do that. Nobody asked him how he was going to get all these billions of dollars back into the banks. Nobody questioned how Obama was going to get this basically completely trashed economy back on track.
Yep.
Nobody questioned anything. Nobody questioned how he was going to get money into the to build all the bridges that were breaking apart, or to put money back into a railroad system which is still trash now. Nobody questioned how he was going to do anything. It was softball question after softball question after softball question. Now, yes, he did go to Fox News. And he was interviewed by I think it was Bill O'Reilly, but I don't know if it was before he became president, and they were not super nasty, but they weren't very kind to him. But it wasn't nearly as combative as what I find with Kamala Harris and some of these interviewers. So Vice President Kamala Harris also went to the NABJ, which is supposed to be a friendly organization towards it's the National Association of Black Journalists. As you know, Trump, well, if you guys follow the news, Trump also went there and did...
They were shucking and jiving for Trump.
Oh, they weren't shucking and jiving for him, but it was pretty...
Well, ask their members. I saw it on Twitter. A lot of members were like, why are we inviting a man who openly hates black people to the National Association of Black Journalists?
Okay, but when Trump was there, it was pretty contentious. It was not good, by the way. But this is one question that one of the reporters at the NABJ asked Vice President Kamala Harris, and it infuriated me.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You
your
didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people.
Yes.
I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community.
Okay, that question was so ridiculous to me. I was like, this is the sitting vice president of the United States. And you know why they're asking and saying things about her laughter. I thought it was to me, it felt like a punch in the gut. I was like, you could have asked her so many other questions. You're going to ask her about her laugh and why people think that because of the way she laughs, she's not a serious candidate. I was so annoyed at this question. I could have threw a glass somewhere through like one of the walls in my apartment. I was like, dude, why? And I was just like, is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's a black woman? This is a black journalist asking the sitting vice president of the United States, the first black woman, and yes, of course, the first Asian American woman as well, about her laugh. Are you fucking kidding me? It is such a dumb question.
Well, honestly, though,
you could have asked her about anything else. Policy. You could have asked her about reparations, which is a question that is running around and in the podcast sphere, especially with black men and black women who actually do deserve to get reparations.
I agree, but
you could have asked her about a myriad of things.
You're not going to get a black politician who supports reparations for like 20 years.
Systemic racism. You could have asked her, like, what are you going to do for the black community in particular? But you want to ask her about her laugh?
But hold on. Can I say something?
I was outraged.
Hold on. All right. 2 things. All right. 1, I think her answer was perfect, though. All right.
Her answer was fantastic, but I could tell it pissed her off.
No, but yeah, but like the Democratic Party, we're the party of the future. We always think ahead. We want a better America. So we need optimism. We need joy. Republicans, they win when they just create campaigns of misery, hate, always being angry at something, even stuff that's not real. Like, oh, the number of trans athletes winning all these championships. And it's like, where? You know what I mean?
A non-issue.
Yeah, like, Republicans need that. But Democrats, we like to get involved. We like seeing, that city on the hill. You know what I mean? We like want a better America. So we need optimism. We need joy. We need laughter. Okay? And so I think Kamala Harris's answer was one perfect. Secondly,
yes, it was.
I'm sorry, and I hate to like go down this path, but that woman has not been talking about black things, okay? She's a black woman, don't get me wrong, I agree.
Yes.
But Kamala Harris is doing the Obama thing where like, yeah, she's black, and she'll say she's black if you ask her, but is she making black people the center of her campaign? No. Is she making black issues the center of her campaign? Not really. Is she focused on her impact and how she's inspiring a whole generation of black girls across the country? No, not at all. All right. So honestly, like, I wouldn't expect her to talk about things like reparations or issues facing the black community like that. She doesn't want to. She's running like Obama, and Obama didn't want to really either. That's why he had that whole beer sit down when that Harvard professor was accosted by that cop outside of his own home, and they all sat down for beer together. And Obama...
Was it called beer?
It was the beer sit down.
No, it wasn't called the beer sit down. It's always something. Beer palooza, beer something.
Yeah. And you see this professor, this racist cop, and Joe Biden all look...
Beergate.
Yeah, Beergate. And you see all of them look dumb. And not dumb, I'm sorry. You see all of them look like, this is dumb. Like, this situation, everyone's like this. Like, and then, like, you see Obama smiling, that. Here's the thing. Barack Obama, I will always respect you as the first black president of this country. All right, you did something that no other black person could do.
Yes,
power to you. That was one of your worst decisions of your administration. All right.
What?
Oh, Beergate, that was the dumbest shit ever.
Well, okay, so I remember when Obama was running, and I remember how excited black people were the first time, but I also remember how unexcited black people were the second time he was running. And it's a being the first black president was, to me, bigger than anything. Maybe it's the biggest thing I've seen in my lifetime. I'm just being honest. Like, I never thought within my lifetime I'd ever see a black president in the United States. So when it happened, I think I was so in awe. I didn't care if he just sat there at the desk for 8 years and did nothing. Obviously, you can't do that. But I'm just saying that image it did everything for me. And like I said in a previous episode, for black women, when we saw Michelle, glamorous and beautiful with her 2 kids and her mom in the White House. And just, it was glorious for a lot of us to just see the Obamas. And I know that one of the things that Obama was very fearful of doing is annoying the white population, which is the majority population in the United States, by bringing up and trying to help black people. I will say for the first 4 years when Obama was president, it would have been harder for him to bring up black issues, because then the white population is like, well, why are you talking about black people? This is not what you ran on. I think once he won the second 4 years, he could have definitely either at least talked about black issues or brought up something that he would do for the black population, simply because black people in this country are marginalized, not given as much opportunity or resources, just systematic racism, and just black people here they need help. Black people here in this country need help. A lot of black people here need help just getting out of poverty and getting out of the cycle of just not having generational wealth or having a lot to leave their kids. And all of it is because of the history of how black people have been treated here. I think that Obama's second term could have been used to talk about some issues of black people, because there was nothing to lose after your second term. You're not going to be running again, even if he did like one thing for black people or try to do things for black people. The other thing too also is I think Obama may have done some things too for black people that we do not know about.
Can I start something, Fran?
Sure.
All right. One, I'm nuanced and I'm mixed about this. Okay, so we all saw Obama. He gave a speech last week in Pennsylvania, and he directly addressed black men, saying that a lot of black men weren't supporting Kamala Harris at the same rates that they supported him because they believe in misogyny.
I don't think it's because they believe in misogyny. He said because of misogyny, or they are misogynist.
Well, both. Yeah, you're right. And then there was a video later where he was in a more intimate setting with a group of black men. He was just talking about how, like, a lot of black men are not supporting Kamala Harris when, like, they should be supporting her, for a variety of different reasons. And so I am mixed on this, okay? And I just want to lay down 4 points, 2 pro and 2 con, okay? Mm-hmm. Pro, one, I agree. There are a lot of black men, and I've heard this in my own personal life too, who just trash Kamala Harris. Like LaVon Bell, the football player, he wore a sweater that said Trump or Tramp.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
That is
today.
That is and I'm like, so awful.
But I'm like, LaVon, you have 7 kids with 6 different baby mamas. You're the tramp.
Yikes.
Don't get me wrong, I get it, you're a football player, so you got easy access to women, but like, bro, like, not even football players have like 7 kids out of wedlock.
Who says that about someone who's so dignified? That whole thing about how like Donald Trump has gone on a tirade now. He's starting to called her stupid, and she can't put together 2 sentences last week, which is, by the way, just a cop-out and also just a strategy, because there are signs showing that he's losing, and Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign is basically on the up and up, and they're making a lot of gains. So I think the news is out that she's doing well. People are voting for her. And he's getting desperate, so he's saying anything. He went to McDonald's today, basically claiming...
Yeah, I saw that. That was the corniest shit.
I was like...
He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing around.
But, I'm like, Donald Trump working at McDonald's, I don't even know what to make of that. This guy has been riding in the back of limousines basically all of his life.
Yes.
Most of his life.
Yes.
And, living in penthouses and... Mar-a-Lago, playing golf. The majority of his life, he's been living the easy, sweet life. Like, Where does he even get off going to McDonald's to pretend to work basically to say that Kamala Harris never worked at McDonald's?
No, and to your point, like they've interviewed people who have worked for Trump or with Trump even before he ran for office, and they've all said he's just late. He's lazy as fuck. He doesn't do anything because like most executives, he doesn't have to. You know what I mean? Like he pays people to do shit for him. Like.
Yeah, that's a whole story in itself. But yeah, but we're talking about
black men
disrespecting Vice President Kamala Harris. Like I said, the 60-minute interview that I was talking about earlier, that was a black news reporter. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I don't watch 60 Minutes. But that whole exchange of, but we're in the real world. that came from a black man. And just in general, there's the podcast world right now, with podcasts that target black men. A lot of them are coming out and saying, well, we need a specific plan for black men, or a plan targeted towards us, or she needs to talk to us directly.
Y'all didn't say that about Joe.
And tell us what she's gonna do for us.
Y'all didn't question Obama about that.
Right, you didn't. There was no. Well, I think there were, but it maybe didn't get publicized.
And no, hold on. And so that goes to my second point, all right, with like the pro-Obama, what he's saying. Like, a lot of these dudes just want to be centered. They don't really want anything tangible. They just want to be deemed as important. A lot of these, because like,
really, you think so?
Yes.
I don't think so.
No, like a lot of these.
I think a lot of black men have a legitimate.
No, here's the real truth.
Question and they have a legitimate right to ask, what are you gonna do for us specifically? Because black men are not given as many opportunity and resources to be successful.
No, I agree. As other men, yes, but like here's the thing.
Just other people in general.
But here's the thing. One, black women are given even fewer opportunities
than black men.
Yes.
I don't think that's true.
I would say so. Yes.
I definitely don't think so.
They're black and they're women in America. They're oppressed from two different sides.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with that and say that as a black woman that works in the government, what I see is there's a lot of high-powered women within the government, a lot of black women within the government. I have seen like an uptick in certain like departments that I've worked in that have hired black men, but overall, generally, since I've been contracting within the federal government for the last maybe the last 10 years, there've been very few black men in government, and also like just given really good executive positions within government. So I'm just saying, just in the work world where I work, I have not seen a lot of black men. And in general, I think black men are given less opportunities because, one of the things that the system does here in this country is suppress black men from getting good, high-paying jobs. And it's one of the ways that they ensure that the black family is never really together. And that's how they ensure black women are always single. And to me, it's probably a subject for another day, but I think black women here have way more opportunities. We're not viewed as a threat to the system, and we're women, so we're quote unquote controllable. Like you can pay me, $35,000 a year that you would pay a man or a black man to do a lot more. Right? But a black man's going to be like, well, wait a minute. They're going to press more and ask for more money in general, because men are more like, typically men get paid more. Yes. And men also expect more money.
Yes.
Whereas, me, it's not that I don't expect to get paid more, but it's easier to pay a woman less than to pay a man less. But as far as I know, and as far as I know how the American economy works, black women have way more opportunities than black men. They're given way better jobs in the economy here. They have way more executive and leadership positions than black men. That's just me. That's how I see the American economy running. I do not see a lot of black men in high power executive positions, business ownership, things like that. It's black women literally like carry the family Black women carry the family for a lot of families. They're the ones bringing in most of the money and a lot of heads of households.
Well, you see, like, and so, like, here's the thing. There's a lot of truth to what you're saying.
Thank you.
All right, like, for one, like, historically, black men have been, like, pushed out of jobs in order to, and I hate to use this term, but
Oh, yes.
demasculinize them, for lack of a better term. All right, like,
Right, and to create tension within the house and to split up
so
the
what
family.
you're saying, there's a long history of that. Okay.
Yes.
But also, to your point as well, black men make more money than black women. Black men are paid more. All right. And so, like, yes, now, are black men as educated as black women? No, they're not. But also, like, that's true for most demographics. I think, like,
typically men are paid more than women in general, but the question is, what I'm trying to say is, are they given the opportunity to even get those jobs? And I don't think black men are given the opportunity to get the high paying jobs. I don't think they're given the opportunity for executive and leadership positions in a lot of companies. Whereas black women, I think, maybe not at the same pace as white men and white women, but we are in leadership positions. We are in executive roles. There are, I think, more black women I think black women in general make more money, like, as a group than our peers as black men. Like, collectively. Like, we make more money and we own more homes, and we are the backbones of most of our families. Listen, like, most of my mom's friends, like, they're carrying the family. All right? They're carrying the family as far as I can see. They're making the money. They're putting the kids through college. I'm not saying the fathers aren't doing anything, but the women are the women are the ones going out there earning the bread and lifting the family and keeping the family out of poverty.
no, I hear that.
Okay, but we're digressing. We're going besides the point. But we were talking about Vice President Kamala Harris.
Can I say something?
Sure.
All right, and so, like, this is just gonna be quick.
Sure.
My two cons to what Obama was saying about the support of black men for Kamala Harris. One, black men are the most progressive Democratic voting men in the country. Okay, like, they always do this, and, like, as a black man, it's really frustrating. Okay, like, oh, black men are just supporting Trump. Black men are supporting Trump. It's only on Twitter. Okay, like,
I think so too.
It's these niggas on Twitter.
Hey.
These blacks for Trump niggas, like, who post bullshit on Twitter. Your average black man is gonna get up. He's gonna make himself some breakfast. He's gonna put his kids, like, their lunches together so they can go to school. All right. He's gonna drive his kids to school. He's gonna go to the voting thing. He's gonna vote. All right. He's gonna go blue all down the damn ticket, and then he's gonna go to work. All right. And he's gonna come home and tell his wife or his husband that he voted. You know what I mean? Like. Like, black men are the most progressive men in this country. We're always attacked for being like secret Republicans, but we're not. Like, the thing is that a lot of, like, especially lower class, like, black men are always viewed as suspects because, like, they, like, apparently have retrograde views, but it's not true. Like,
What do you mean retrograde views isn't what?
Like, oh, like poor black men are misogynist and they're homophobic and blah blah blah. And, like, don't get me wrong, misogyny and homophobia are issues in the black community, like every community in America. But like y'all don't even talk to, like, black working class or poor black men. Like, y'all are not a community with them. You just assume that since they didn't have the degrees that you have and they don't work the same jobs that you do, that they're obviously a misogynist and homophobic. When, if anything, poor black people live in closer proximity to queer and trans and whatever people than most white folks, to be frank. And then my second thing is that Obama has a long history of talking down to black people. Okay? Like, for example, when he gave that speech about how we need to get Pookie and Ray Ray to the polls, I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. Okay? Because he's talking about black people in the hood as if they're just these, like, props, these, like, little characters and not real people.
I never heard that one.
No, and I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. And you know what? There's a wealthy group of black people who eat that shit up. They believe the worst things about hood black people. They think like there's like a class of black people who think hood black people like in the same ways that white people think of all black people. They're like, oh well, like white people be like, oh, black people are like violent, and then like there's like this class of black people like, no, hood black people are violent. You know what I mean? Like they like think that like they over there are bad, and I just hate that logic because like. And like I'm gonna.
I hear you on that.
I'm not gonna beat this to death anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say three things. One, all right, black women vote at the highest rates in the country. Okay, black women outvote white women. Okay, all right. Two, black men, if you control for class and education, actually vote more like poor black people and poor black men. If you control for education and class, vote at higher rates than poor white men. Okay.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. All right. And so
Rami is a Democratic strategist.
Yes.
No,
yeah.
What did you do? Did you work on campaigns?
I did. Yes.
Okay, so Rami is talking facts. These are things that he studied.
All right, and also black men vote at higher rate. Black men don't vote at the same rates as white men, but like that's due to a variety of factors, such as like a lot of states where like particularly in the South where a lot of black people live, having laws where if you have a criminal record, it's harder for you to vote. But actually, black men turn out at pretty high rates. All right, like. And black men are the most democratic voting progressive men. If you want to scream at some men about how they need to vote more Democratic, you got to go to Latino men. Latino men, all right, you got to yell at them. All right, if you want to scream at some women about how they need to vote more, you got to Democratic. You got to yell at white women. All right,
because they surely did put Trump in the White House the last time.
Because white women will be like, "Oh, I'm oppressed, but I'm the oppressor. I'm oppressed, but I'm the oppressor." You know what I mean? Like they go like back and forth on that shit.
Yeah, to go to the next bottle. Yeah.
All right,
I will say,
and I'm done.
I will say this about Obama and what he said about black men and misogyny and black men supposedly not voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. I do think that black men in this country have a right to ask of the person coming into office, what are you going to do for me? Because I'm putting you in office and you are a public servant. The president and the vice president, the Congress, the House, the Senate, all right, the Supreme Court, these are all public servants. Every representative in a state house, every council member, your local county and state levels, these are public servants. They're supposed to do the will of the people, and they're supposed to be doing things that are supposed to help the people. And we all know government is convoluted. It's a whole big old bureaucracy. And government does do, for the most part, what it's supposed to do, and it does help a lot of people. But we know that, there are a lot of people that are left behind and not given enough help to either that they don't have enough social services within their area, or they don't have enough social workers to tell them like what to do, where to go, or just from bad circumstances within their own personal situations, aren't able to figure out how to get out of these quagmires of poverty. And a lot of people in America are left behind, and black men in particular have been left behind in the economic in the economic just moving up in the economic levels within the United States and creating wealth and legacies for themselves and their families, and they have a right to ask these questions. So I'm gonna say I don't like speaking badly about the vice president. As you can tell, I'm super crazy about her. I hope she wins. Okay, fingers crossed, toes, eyes crossed. But what she did is she went on to Charlemagne the God's show, obviously 60 Minutes, and she went into a couple other vibrant podcasters. I'll get their names in a second. And basically what she said is, what I'm going to do for black men is going to be pretty much the same thing that she's going to be doing for everybody else. She's like, all of the plans that I have recommended and talked about are going to be for everybody's benefit. It's not going to be for one particular group's benefits. It's going to help everyone. I'm just trying to find the name of this podcast.
This kind of gets back to what I was saying earlier. Vice President Harris she's not running on a black card, all right? Like, for lack of a better term, all right? She's not running on her blackness,
no,
okay?
She's not.
And, So it's kind of awkward for her to talk about how she wants to create a policy for black men and then at the same time run this colorblind campaign. And here's the thing. Obama ran a colorblind campaign 2 in 1. So like, the strategy, it has some success. It's worked. Okay. Marty just nodded his head. So, he agrees to some, to some level. But like, I think that's a point of contention that's not going to be easy for her to solve. Because Kamala Harris is going to have to be, and she is black, don't get me wrong, but she's going to have to be black, and black people understand what I'm saying, for her to get this point across about how these policies are going to help black men and really engage them in a way that her campaign is just currently not set up to do.
Okay, so by the way, the podcast I was talking about is All the Smoke with Matt and Stack, I believe. She went on there too as well and said the same thing that she said on Charlemagne the God's show. But one of the things that she spoke to with Matt and gosh, I can't remember with Matt and Stack is that they talked about the mental health of black men and the mental health of, just in general. And that was actually one of the best parts of the conversations I think she had with Matt and Stack. I was like, this is something I think that should be spoken about. And, of course, America in general needs a gosh darn mental health checkup. I think we're all going crazy here, right? But black men in particular, I think, need a lot of mental health support and social services just to get out of the number one, the amount of racist crap that they've had to endure. The systematic racism, the prison industrial complex that they've been thrown into. I think even up until this point, there are more black men in jail than there are actually out in society.
No, that's not true.
And really Google it.
No, there's only 1 million prisoners in the country. 2 million prisoners in the country. And the black population in America is 40 million or 50 million. They're that's not true. Now we're disproportionately higher in the prison population.
Okay, I actually thought maybe I'm wrong on that statistic. I remember hearing that when I was in school. But in general, black men are incarcerated at a rate that is unbelievably ridiculous. A lot of them are in jail because they were set up. It's not that they actually committed any crimes. I'm not saying none of them in jail deserve to be in jail. Of course, there are black men that have done bad things. That,
like R. Kelly.
Yes, and the diddler. But, black men need help. There's a lot of black men in jail that should not be in jail, that were put in jail, that are in jail maybe because they couldn't afford to find an attorney or couldn't afford, is it bond or bail?
No cash bail.
And then they end up just in the system because things happen in jail where they can keep you in there longer and longer and longer.
No lies detected.
And in the end, what you have is a population of men who are in prison who are basically used as profit engines because
they're slaves.
And when you're in jail, people in jail work.
Yes, they do.
And they work for
$1 a day.
Pennies on the dollar. And, they make things in prison. They do. They make furniture. They make license plates.
Yep.
They make, there's a bunch of industries that basically use prisoners to do their work. And they're paid
nothing.
No, they get paid, but it's 5 cents an hour.
Functionally nothing.
Well, for real, it's basically close to nothing, but it's not nothing. They do get paid.
No, they do, but also to your point, there's a long history, particularly in the South, such as Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, where prisoners are loaned out to local businesses.
Yes, and
particularly in the agriculture industry.
Yes,
and so you have
food industries too.
Yes, and so you have these prisoners. You have prisoners in a lot of cases literally picking cotton, all right, as part of their sentence. All right, which shows you the slave foundation of the American prison system. And so I just wanted to say that I think that, here's the thing. I think Obama was, at his core, I don't think Obama's wrong. I think it's important to talk to black men. And I think the black men that he's really talking about, because most black men are Democratic voters, the black men that he's really talking about in regards to supporting VP Harris are the black conservatives, kind of these far right black men, hoteps, like these dudes who are like, oh well, Kamala Harris isn't even black, she's Indian, like
No, that's ridiculous.
I agree.
But the big topic at hand was the disrespect of Vice President Kamala Harris. I'd like to just talk on that for a couple more minutes.
Definitely.
And just the general disrespect of black women, because I'm a black woman, and I'm not saying that I have endured a ton of disrespect, but I have endured disrespect that is definitely race-based.
Oh, yeah.
As a black woman in America, I think there's all these kind of assumptions that are made about you. And of course, there are assumptions made about white women too. All right, and white men and Spanish people. Everybody has racial stereotypes on them, right? But the stereotypes on black people and black women are typically very, very bad. All right,
you're angry,
right? We're angry. This is one of the things that Brett Baer did in his interviews. He tried to poke at Vice President Kamala Harris, basically to get her angry so she could blow up. I really saw it. And I was like, you're trying to do this because you're trying to show
That's
that
a good point. I agree
black women are angry. And she just ran circles around him, which was just fabulous.
Because he's dumb and uninteresting.
Right. But the thing is, it was like, look at this guy. I was like, you're going back to the old playbook that black women were angry, we can't be controlled, or, our emotions are all over the place, we're unreasonable. Right? So Brett Baer tried to get her to blow up. She didn't blow up. She was very calm. She answered all of her questions as respectfully as she could. And, I see the black journalists poking at Vice President Kamala Harris. I see Marjorie Taylor Greene poking fun at, Representative Jasmine Crockett's eyelashes, talking about how she can't hear through her eyelashes. I see, white women on Fox News say outrageous things about Jasmine Crockett and also about the squad in general, just very racist things. And we just got to call it out for what it is, and try to get over the hump and just stop stereotyping black women in a certain way. This is one of the reasons why I really loved Michelle Obama as the First Lady of the United States, because I love that she was like, I was like, she represents me. Like, I'm not as, I'm not as polished as she is. You know what I mean?
Yes, you are.
But you know what I mean. Like, I was like, this is what I want to be.
But
this is what I aspire to be.
What woman is like? She's the first lady. She has to be polished.
She has to be. But I'm just saying, I loved that image so much. And Vice President Kamala Harris is just as polished.
Yes.
Just as fabulous.
Even more so. She's running for the actual office.
She's running for the actual office, and we need to give her more respect.
I agree.
On the account of black men, I would really like that the next administration takes it upon themselves. I'm praying it's not Trump, because we know he's not going to do anything for anyone, including working class whites.
Well, if you're a wealthy white person, you're going to love him.
Maybe. Who knows what he's going to do for them?
Yeah,
either.
that's true, because if you have tariffs,
right?
blow up our economy.
Yeah, we're all fucking toast if that happens. But basically, for black men, I hope that the administration, hopefully Vice President Kamala Harris becomes President of the United States with Tim Walz as VP. I hope they do put forward programs that help to make the image of black men more positive, to give them opportunities within our job economy, to, I know the 40 acres and a mule is a dream, and I know reparations is a dream. I truly hope that one day black people in this country do get what they're owed. And they do get some kind of money and some kind of generational wealth from the government as they are owed for all of the free work that their ancestors have done. And what would you conclude, Roms?
Oh, well, honestly, I think you said it all, Fran. I think this was a great episode. I really enjoyed this conversation. I actually really want to continue it further.
I think we can continue it. Maybe we'll do a part 2, because I feel like there's a lot that wasn't said.
I agree with you. Definitely. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. This is Hold My Merlot coming to you live from Silver Spring.
I'm speaking.
Yes, we're speaking. Okay. We love you. Please enjoy your week. We'll see you next Thursday. Please take care.